Hi y'all, it's Ginger with Ginger Snap Thrifting, and I wanted to show y'all what my next Reimagined project is going to be. A few weeks ago I thrifted this cool pair of overalls. Y'all, I love to wear overalls. They're so comfortable. You don't have a waistband that binds. They usually have good deep pockets, and I especially love them for housework and yard work. Well, I thrifted these. The lady said, "Oh yeah, girl, they'll fit you. I just lost some weight and they don't fit me anymore." You see how cute they are in the back? And so I thought, well, maybe, because they're kind of stretchy. Well, yeah, they stretch, and yeah, they will go up, but they stretch way tighter than what I want anything stretching on me. So I am going to reimagine these into a cute little country apron. So I picked the most beautiful day to be locked up in the craft cottage, but we were out doing our yard work yesterday here in Marshall, Texas. It's coming up on June. We're finally having a break from the rain, but now I'm going to take these into the craft cottage and I'm going to show y'all what I'm going to make out of them. Well, okay, y'all, I've got these overalls laid out about as evenly as I can. They have some folds in them, and I'm going to cut the legs off. And I'm going to cut the legs off about where you'd want a modest pair of shorts. Because, an apron ought to go down a little bit on your legs to protect you. So I pulled the pockets out so I wouldn't cut the pockets. And I made sure the hip pockets were down, and I'm just going to cut these off here. And this is going to be a rough cut. This is not going to be a nice cut. It's not going to be the finished cut. It's just the beginning cut. That leg. Now I'm gonna pick these up in the back here and right here in the strad area, the crotch, and I'm gonna fold them over. You see how I did that? Because I want both legs to be about the same. You don't want one to be 4 inches longer than the other one if you can help it. It really wouldn't matter if that happened, but it's just nice if it doesn't. All right. So that's pretty good there. So I'm just going to cut along where this other cut and cut that side off. Alrighty. Got that done. Y'all see that? Okay, now these button right here, and that's kind of cute. So but the buttons are on the back side, see, and the button hole is on the front part. We only need this front part for this Reimagine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut about a 1/2 inch onto the back, about right there. Y'all see where I'm cutting? I'm going to cut right along this edge. And that's going to give us an edge to stitch to bind the edge, or we might put a ruffle on it. Y'all know, I always let my projects tell me what to do. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to do yet. Got some ideas, but that might change. All right. So that side's cut off. See, it's cut off. Now we're going to go over to this side. We're going to do the same thing. I'm going to fold it about 1 inch or so. See, I'm going to lay it down. It doesn't have to be real straight. You don't have to worry about that. The only really thing you want to worry about is that these pockets aren't over in there and they don't get cut. Because one of the great things about aprons is pockets, right? And one of the things we love about overalls is they're great pockets. So we don't want to damage our pockets. Need a pretty good pair of scissors because this denim is, it's thick at the waistband and all. So, here's what we got now. It's not really attached up here, it's attached with the straps. I'm going to unhook these straps. I'm going to open it up. And this is the inside of the leg, the seam on the inside of the leg. So I'm just going to cut right along that seam. Now, got the whole back side with hip pockets and the straps taken off, and we got the legs taken off. And so this is what we got so far. Got like the makings of a little bib apron, see? Now we get to do the fun stuff. So this is that really stretchy spandexy denim, and it's got, the holes are in it, but can y'all see how it gathers up there? What I'm going to do, I'm going to go in and I'm going to cut these threads out so that it doesn't pull up like that. There. And now see, it kind of lays open. I'm going to trim all these threads off, and I'm going to put me some cute little patches on there. So if you can cut right along where the threads are at, that's fine. But if you get over in where it's not frayed out, that's okay too. What I like to do is leave it kind of, I don't want to make a perfect square or a perfect circle or oval or what have you. Now that's what I like. If that's what you like, to have perfect shaped patches, that's just fine, because this is your project and you should make it like you like it. See, up here we've got a little hole too, so I'm going to cut that out. Just trimming off all these little loose threads. Y'all can't see, now we got a couple of little holes. We're going to do the same thing over here on this leg. Well, okay, y'all, I went over to one of my little fabric stashes. I've got plenty, and found this cool red and white fabric, these pieces. I originally thought I was going to use an old shirt for this, but once I started looking, I thought, well, this is really farmhouse and country looking, and we are coming up on the 4th of July and all, so I thought, let me see if one of these would make a patch. So I put that one over there. I could put this one over here, and then maybe I could put a little piece of this red one up there under that little hole. I think that would look cute. What do y'all think? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, let's see, is that little piece big? Yeah, that little piece is big enough. Get my pins over here. Alrighty. So I'm just going to slide this under here. Pull that pocket back up out of the way because I don't want to be stitching it. Now I'm just going to lay it down, lay this fabric down under it, and I'm going to pin it. I'm going to pin these edges as smoothly as I can. How do y'all like these cute little star pins? My friend Miss Peggy Elliott gave all of us in our quilting group a set of those a couple years ago for Christmas, and I just sure do enjoy them. They're really to pin, you know, big things like quilts and all, but they'll work for this. They will work for this. All right, right here. kind of a little pucker in our fabric. Let's see what we got going on. Y'all, I'm gonna stop for a minute and iron this fabric just to make sure I don't have any puckers. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna iron down these little rough edges so they lay flat so I can get a better stitch on them. I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got that pinned on. Now I'm going to turn it over. And what I'm looking for is to make sure that the pins that come through are not up against the edge. So they are not. So now I'm just going to roughly cut just the fabric. Make sure you lift it up and don't cut into your denim. And I'm just going to kind of cut out away from it, giving myself a good wide berth. We'll be trimming this off later. There. See? Okay. Now I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine and I'm going to stitch these patches on. And then you see we have this pucker. When I come back, I'm going to determine what I'm going to do with that. All right, I'm over here at the sewing machine and now I'm going to stitch on these patches. And so I'm holding, I'm going to make sure I don't let the inside of this fabric roll up when I roll it under this pressure foot, you see? And I've set my machine for a wide zigzag. And I'm using just a blue thread that I believe will kind of blend in. And so I'm going to stitch up, and then I'm going to lift my presser foot and turn my fabric, and then I'm going to stitch across. And then I'm going to pick up and I'm going to turn, because this is kind of a jaggedy, raggedy hole, right? Because I didn't cut it into a perfect oval or square. And I'm not really stitching over the frays. I like that frayed look. I think that's very country looking. So I'm stitching up to my seams, to my pins, and then I'm stopping the machine and pulling my pin out. Anytime you lift your presser foot, you want to leave your needle down, and that way you don't lose your spot. All right, now I've turned this inside out, and I'm just going to take pinking shears and I'm going to kind of trim this off. All right, we're back over here at my cutting table, and now we have to determine what to do with this little pucker where these are fitted to, fit around your body. So there's lots of things you can do. You can open it up, you can sew a V in there, and then you got this little flouncy thing. You can, what I'm gonna do, I believe, I'm gonna stitch it down and put a V in here, but maybe with a piece of the pant leg. Let's see. I think that's what I'm going to do, because I don't necessarily want to draw attention to this. I just want it to kind of fade away. Now, if you wanted to draw attention, you can put a different color in here. Some people will try to do it like this, but this tapers. These legs taper, they get narrower as they go down. You can see there's a pretty big gap here, so I don't think that would work. So I'm just going to pin this down. I'm going to make me a little, I don't know, y'all. I don't know what's going to look. Maybe I'm going to stitch this down like this. Then I'm just going to put me a little piece here. You're not going to cover it up. You're gonna always know it's there because this is a flat felled seam, which is typical on blue jeans. You can't really not show it. So you either got to celebrate it or you got to camouflage it as much as you want to. And I'm going to have some other stuff going on this, so I don't think I want to be pulling the eye down here a whole lot. So I'm just going to use a piece from the leg and cut that. All right, y'all, well, I had a little bit of a brainstorm. Look, I'm going to take this pant leg and I'm going to cut it on the inside seam. See the inside seam that doesn't, see, this is the flat fell seam over here. See, we don't want to cut on that. We want to cut down here so we can kind of open this up. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this. Look, I'm going to like make me a pocket across here, just a front pocket, and let it come down past this so that you won't see that, and I think you'll kind of camouflage it, and you'll just have a pocket here, plus you'll have your pockets here. Now, the question is, how big do I want my pocket? So grab me a ruler. I think about 8 inches wide. Inches wide. They'll put it right under these pockets, 10 inches wide and about 8 inches deep. So I'm going to cut this 10 by 8. Trim this off here so I have a clean edge. Now, 8 inches. So I'm going to do it 8.5, just to be on the safe side, just to make sure I have a little bit of wiggle room, a little bit to hem. Now, I want it to be 10 inches. So, 5 inches there. This is going to be 10 here. Over here. Got me a pocket. It is 8.5 by 10. Now, I am going to pin this down, and I'm going to iron it down so it lays flat. Then I'm going to cut me a piece of fabric. It's going to go from here to here and just stitch it over that, and then I'm going to put the pocket on it. All right, so I came up with an idea to really camouflage this. You see, right here is where I stitched it down. Stitched it down from the top. Then I cut a strip of fabric from the leg, from that same lower on the leg where I cut the pocket, and I just stitched it over this. Can you see it? So I didn't even turn this edge under here because this is a zigzag this, and this is going to be under the pocket. So now I'm going to put my pocket on, and when I do, I'm going to line the seam up with this edge and the bottom of the pocket seam up with this, and it's going to just blend right in. I am going to cut my pocket a little more narrow, down to probably another inch and a half more narrow. It's going to still be 10 wide, but instead of 8.5, it's probably going to be 7.5. And I'm going to cut me a piece of fabric, and I'm going to put across this top edge here for a little pop of color. All right, I'm working on my pocket. I cut this fabric down. This is 7.5 inches tall by 10 inches wide. And then I cut a piece of my fabric here that's 2 inches wide, and it's long enough to go across the top of the pocket. So what I'm going to do, and then I folded under about 1/4 inch along this edge and pressed it down with an iron. So I'm going to stitch this to the inside, to the wrong side of the pocket. Just like this. I'm going to stitch it on there, and I'm going to make a little edging for it. So I'm just using a straight stitch, and I'm just stitching it along this edge. Y'all, I'm sorry that I'm cutting off part of my face and stuff, but I want y'all to see what I'm doing. And one of these days I'll get me a taller thing to hold my phone. All right. So you see, I'm not even back stitching on that because the ends of this seam is going to be caught up in the fold. All right, y'all, well, that beautiful weather disappeared yesterday evening. We had more crazy thunderstorms, so I had to rush in from the craft cottage. So I am back today to finish up this apron. All right, so I've got my little pocket all stitched down up here, and I have measured out. I measured down from the waistband on each corner, and then I measured from the side seams on each corner, y'all see, and pinned my apron so that it's in the same, my pocket, so it's in the same place and it's straight. And I made sure to line up the seam with the seam of, this is a faux fly. This is just stitched on there to look like a jeans fly. It doesn't open or have a zipper. And I have lined this up with this. So now I put the blue thread back on the machine, and I'm going to stitch around the edge. I'm going to stitch with 2 lines. Okay, y'all, so I stitched this pocket on with 2 lines of stitching. Let me turn this around so I can show you. Okay, so I stitched the pocket on. I stitched it on with 2 lines of stitching like I was telling you. But I want to show you right here at the corner. Right here at the corner, I'm going to secure this pocket with a bar tack. It looks like this right here, you see? And the way you do that is you want to raise your foot and put your needle into its far left position. So you see how the needle comes down just in the left of the foot here. See if I can read it. See how the needle is down on the left of this foot. So then you're going to adjust your stitch raise my foot. I'm going to adjust my stitch to a 5. Mine goes to a 5. And I've got to turn this back around. But you see the needles in it, so it's holding my spot, right? I'm sorry, I don't want to make y'all busy, but I want you to know how to do a bar tack if you don't know how. Okay, there. Now, turned it around. Now, I'm going to put my stitch length on 0. And what that does is it keeps the feed dogs from pulling the fabric through. And I'm just going to stitch, and if you watch real close, see how it goes back and forth like that? And so there you go. And you have yourself a perfect little bar tack, just like this one. And that holds your pocket and keeps it from ripping out. Okay, the next thing is to take care of this raw edge. Now, you could just leave it raw like that. I like fray, but I don't like that much fray. What I'm going to do is cut another strip of one of these fabrics, and I'm going to encase this edge. Another option would be to roll this under and hem it, but you'd have to be stitching over the seam, and that gets awfully hard to stitch sometimes. Sometimes your machine will skip stitches. Sometimes it just will bulk. I just think it would be really cute to have the edge and the bottom of this little apron trimmed out. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, y'all, I'm back for the 3rd day on this. I want to show y'all, I've already stitched my little side. You see how cute that is? And I did have to use a zipper foot. I had to change the foot out on my machine and use a zipper foot to get up against this seam right here. But now I'm going to finish up with the bottom. I want to show y'all how I pin this on. Now, what you got to do, this is the right side of the fabric, this is the wrong side. I put the right side, the side with the pretty picture of the fabric, against the wrong side of the cloth, of the apron, you see? And I'm leaving a little tab sticking out here. And that's so I can finish this edge when I turn it over. Now I also, my fabric was not long enough, because I'm just using scraps, to cut this whole piece. It wasn't that long. So what I did was, I cut 2 strips and I sewed them together. Put the two right sides together, and you make a little seam right there. You sew it together, and then you just take it to your iron and you iron it open. You iron it so one side of the seam folds one way and the other side folds the other way. See, like that. So now I'm going to stitch this on here. Pull my pins out. Got pinned all the way across. I'm pulling my pins out as I get to them. You can sew over a pin, but what will happen a lot of the time is that your needle will hit that pin. You'll bend your pin. You may bend your needle. You'll for sure make your needle more dull. And you may even break that needle if it hits it just right. Then you have to stop and change your needle out. Y'all, this little tool right here is awesome. This is a magnet. It holds your pins. You don't have to finagle around trying to stick them in a pin cushion when you pull them out. You just stick them on it and it just grabs them. And if you ever drop a pin or a needle, you can just turn it upside down because it's a magnet, and you can just stitch it on, just stick it up with that. got that done. Now, we've got our strip sewed on to the back of the apron. Now we're going to roll the strip over to the front of the apron, and I'm going to take this to the iron, and I'm going to iron it down right there just so I get a good clean edge. Okay, I have pressed this. Now I'm rolling it to the inside. You see how I just rolled it over there? Just rolled it over. Before I do that, I want to take this tab that I left hanging out past the edge, and I'm going to fold it in, and where I've got the stitching right there, I'm going to line up this fold right there with the stitching. Can y'all see? Now, I'm going to hold this with my left hand because I am right-handed, and I'm going to fold my cloth in it. When you try to fold this in, this edge right here tries to scoot out. So if you're having problems with it, you can just take it and just kind of tuck it in a little bit. You see how I just tucked that in? Can you see that? I just folded it and tucked it in. And you just fold it over. And what you want to watch out for, when you fold this over, you want the crease here to come right to that corner, right to that fold. So if you have to press it on your iron to get a sharp fold, do that. So you're just going to fold it over, and I'm going to fold mine. See how I folded it over like that? Can y'all see? So you just fold it over, and then you can fold the whole thing up. I know it's hard for y'all to see this. I'm sorry. So then you can just fold the whole thing up. You see how it folds up? And you don't see any of that edge sticking out. You see how clean that is? Now I'm going to put a pin in that to hold it really good. Got a little string there, so I'm going to clip that little string off. All right, so I'm going to go down the whole edge of this. I'm going to tip it over. I'm going to fold it over and going to pin it. And I'm going to do the other end just like this end so that I don't have any edges showing, okay? All right, y'all, I've got it all pinned up across there. So you've got a real clean corner there. Got a real clean corner here. Now I'm just going to edge stitch right along this edge, and that'll take care of covering up the hem. Okay, all we've got left on our apron now is the neck strap from the bib and the waist straps to tie. So this pair of overalls did not have the tall back that comes up in the back. It stopped at the waist. Look at this strap, y'all. Look at how long this is. This was the one strap, and there was two straps on it. Way too long for what we need. So I took one strap and I cut it off a little shorter. I just held it up to see how long I thought it should be. And I finished the edge with just some zigzag stitching on my machine. If you have an overlock machine, you could do it like that, but I didn't want to get the overlock out. So I'm going to take this other, this has got a name, but I don't know what it is. It's the little hook thing that hooks over the button. I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to put it on the other end of the strap I cut off. See, I've cut my strap off. So I'm just going to put it on here like so. If you don't know how these work, just pay attention how they came off and you'll be okay. So, now, all I have to do is just hook it over here. And now, your bib has an adjustable on both sides neck strap, so you can get it just the height you want it. Now, next thing we have to do is take care of the waist ties. Okay, apron ties. You can cut your apron ties as long as you want them. You might want them to crisscross in the back and wrap around and tie. You might want them to just tie in a bow or a half bow in the back. I cut mine about 30 inches long. I like to tie my apron in the back, but it's entirely up to you. The easiest way to do an apron tie is to cut your strip. I cut mine 2.5 inches. This will be about a 1 inch strip, and I'll explain why when we get to attaching it. But you cut your strip, you fold the right sides together, and on one end you're going to stitch across it and down, and you're not going to close the other end. One end has to be open for you to be able to turn it right side out. Okay, now it's time to put the tie straps on. I've folded them in half, I've stitched them, stitched one end, left the other end open, turned it and pressed it. Now I'm going to stitch it to the apron. Because of where this is at, I'm going to unbutton this so I can get to that little section. Now, you want the seam down, facing toward the bottom of the apron. You want the open end, see? And you want to put it like so. You want to line up this edge here, and you'll put it just like that. And I am going to attempt to sew right over this stitching on this top stitch of this little edging. Now I'm going to back stitch over my stitching just to lock it in place, because this is where all the stress on this apron is going to be, and all these seams. The most likely place for it to fail is going to be a strap pulling off. Okay, we've got it sewn on. See right there. Now we're going to take this, we're going to turn it back like that. I'm going to stitch it again. We're going to stitch it forwards, and we're going to back stitch over it. Always helps if your needle is threaded, y'all. Have y'all ever sewn like a big long seam and then realized the needle wasn't threaded? Okay, let's try it again. Stitch forward, stitch back, and come forward 1 or 2 inches. All right. You know, a problem I have with factory-made items today is it seems like always the most important place that should have the most strength is the weakest. So we have that stitched on like that. Now we can button it back up, and here are the ties on your apron. You see you got your little pockets. You got your bib. And I will take a picture of this apron hanging on a hanger so y'all can see it. But it is finished. Now you can do anything else you want it to. Maybe you want to, maybe this only has a pocket on one side. I don't think it ever had a pocket. It was made to look like a pocket got ripped off. I don't know why. Maybe you'd put an applique of, I don't know, a heart or a flower or a star, since we're doing fabrics with star prints. But we are done. We have got it done. So that's it, folks. Now you still have the back of it. Look at this. You can make you another little apron. Do this part just like I showed you. Just put a little waist tie and have a little waist apron. Or if you want a bib apron, take a different, maybe cut a piece off the legs and make a bib to come up. You know, it'd come up like this. Put you some ties on it, whatever you want to do. That way you keep something out of the landfill. Reduce, reuse, recycle, right? Okay, y'all, thank y'all for hanging with me through this video. Hang on for a couple of pictures of the finished item. Okay, y'all, here's the finished apron. I've got it on a mannequin, which is very small, so I wrapped the belt around and tied it so it would tie in the front if you were this skinny, which I'm not. You'll see that I went ahead and put a red stripe across the top, just to give it a pop of color up there. But I thank you for hanging with me through this video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, click the bell so you get notified of upcoming videos. This is going to be part 1 of Turn a Pair of Overalls into an Apron, and I will be filming part 2 with the back part of the apron later this week. Y'all be blessed and have a wonderful day. This is Ginger with Ginger Snap Thrifting.